All right. According to this, Poke Biology 102 starts in an hour, so we have officially started.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll go ahead and kick it off.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here and getting a little bit curious about MAGWest. MAGFest is micro, but also very mighty West Coast event. So applaud us, but also applaud you. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for your enthusiasm and curiosity if you haven't already been to the event.
Yes. So before we get started, I just want to go ahead and introduce the panel. Up here on the panel are those who are, longtime performers of MAGWest, but also longtime coordinators of MAGWest. So I'll go ahead and start over to my right with Ben. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name's Ben. I am the event chair for MAGWest since 2019. That's me.
Thanks, Ben. Go ahead.
My name's Gene. I am one of the, it's complicated, but I'll keep it simple. I book some of the music. I program a lot of the things into the schedule, so basically where people end up at various times of days on the multiple stages is a whole long job, but it's definitely, getting that show flow just right is a lot of fun.
Awesome.
You do sound stuff too.
You also are sound guy.
That's true. I do sometimes run sound in the jam space and occasionally solve problems in other parts of the event when I need to be elsewhere.
What doesn't Gene do?
I do perform even a little bit too, so there's that.
That's true.
Gene has a whole bag of tricks. Thank you, Gene. And then I'll go ahead and introduce myself real quick. I am V. You probably saw me in the opening ceremonies. I introduced myself as a completely different title, which you can go ahead and go to YouTube and find out. But in this position, I am the programming division head. Previously, I used to book talent exclusively that were not music. But now I'm overseeing like a lot of the panels, our variety stage, things that are not music or gaming, but all the stuff that's adjacent and in between. I'll go ahead and pass it to Joe.
Thanks, V. I'm Joe Newman, sometimes Numa Joe. I do a bunch of stuff at both Super and MAGWest. For the purposes of this panel, I come to MAGWest as a performer. I've been there since the very first one, which has been really cool because I live in California. It's local for me. I used to be local to the DC area, so I came to Super. And when they were like, "Oh, we got one in California," I was like, "I'm gonna be all over that." So it's been great. I've been, attending, performing, sitting in, doing, main stage performances, running my own stuff. And yeah, just a huge proponent of MAGWest and all of its wonderfulness.
Joe, and last but definitely not least, Jay.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. I'm Jay. I'm also a performer at MAGWest. I've been a performer at every single MAGWest. I've attended literally all of them.
That's right.
So it's been fun to be at that event, see it grow, and see it kind of like take its own direction. And I've been to MAGFest, I think about 5 times over the course of since 2017 or so, I think. So yeah, I love these types of events, and MAGWest is very dear to my heart. I'm also in California, so it's fairly easy. It's certainly easier to get to than to here. So.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jay. I do see a couple of other MAGWest heroes here in the audience. I see Robbie Benson, who is local to San Jose.
Hey, yeah, Robbie.
And also helps us, by proxy with the culture of MAGWest. And then over here on my left, we have some representation from VVGO, who coordinates the community orchestra of that event. So we get a lot of engagement from them, which we'll speak more on in just a second. So aside from introductions, let's dive right into it. So some things that we're going to go over today is we're going to talk a little bit about what MAGWest is and why is it so special, why is it so particular from MAGFest. We'll dive a little bit deeper into how it was born. And then we'll talk a little bit about what is upcoming for MAGFest or MAGWest 2025. We'll touch on a little bit of the behind the scenes, also how to get involved. We'll share some stories and also Q&A in case if you have some questions. And we'll have a little bit of a closing surprise for y'all. By the way, there is a Mentimeter. So in the case if you're like, I can't stay here all day, I got so much other shiitake mushrooms to do, and you want to ask a question, you want it to go live, There is a Mentimeter, so if you want to just go ahead and scan the QR code, if you feel like you're not going to get scammed by it, and just ask some questions in there, I will have them populate on my phone, so then that way we can answer them live in the case that you need to go off and do another thing.
Yeah, that goes for anybody watching on the TV too.
Ah, that's
Yeah,
true.
that's
If you're
great.
on the stream. Yes. Thank you, Joe.
Sure.
All right, let's keep it moving. So, about MAGWest. Where do I start? Some of the pictures that we have loaded here is some of the performances that we've done in the past. You see a little bit of like our indoor performances. We have some jam clinic photos. We also have the pool as well as like some of our gaming features. You can't really tell like just by first glance because they're like, oh, it's generic performance photos. But I'll just say I know where all these photos come from, which is great because the event is that small. I'll just say. Sorry, guys, I'm loading up my panel outlines. So first, I guess my big question is, what is MAGWest? I'm just going to go around the panel and just start off like what everyone's takes is, what is MAGWest? So anyone at the table here want to go first?
We're the baby. We're like MAGFest were it circa 2008. We do run at about a tenth of the size of Super, but a lot of the great things about some of the directions that Super has taken is already kind of taken root in West, and we've kind of branched out from there. So it's, while I can say we're a copy and paste of Super, that's not entirely accurate because we've kind of thrown in some of our own flavor into it, especially being that we're, in the California heat in the summer or early fall. We have the benefit of not needing to worry about a polar vortex. As it turns out, that's not something that we need, that really affects us as much. Alternatively, though, we do have heat waves that can make certain outdoor performances a little tricky. But it's a lot of fun. And, it's San Jose, especially being, having such a rich history of a music scene, it really does lend MAGWest to be something a lot more community driven because of how many performers and great old jazz musicians and things like that, or even people from Silicon Valley and older game developers that exist there. That there's just such a wealth of talent to pull from, and that was a long-winded answer of what is MAGWest.
I'll tack on to that a little bit. I will say the benefit of MAGWest is when we started our first year, like our first official full year was 2017. MAGFest had already become fairly mature, so we benefited a lot from organizational processes, certain types of lessons learned. Like whenever you start a new event, like we're building MAGWest up from the ground up with new staff, people need to kind of just learn from doing. So there's only so much that an existing organization can do, So I learned a lot. I started it in 2017. I've been with the organization since. We've definitely gotten a lot more sophisticated and skilled up in a lot of different areas in terms of our programming, our streamlining of our performances. But it's also a little bit of an opportunity for us to be experimental. A ship this big, you can't just suddenly change things arbitrarily. If you want to throw something on the schedule at MAGWest a little bit different, it might only require 3 or 4 people to get it done. So it's not a big, risk for us to try something out. Some of those things end up here. For example, many of the musicians that you see here got their VGM convention debut at MAGWest, and you may not have known them. But like, for example, I'm going to bring up Sixth Station Trio just down the hall. They're a local San Francisco group. They've been playing for several years, but I don't think they've done any other VGM conventions until MAGWest, and now here they are to a large audience, and I'm really happy to see them making the rounds, and just as one example.
How would you describe it, Joe?
So I grew up not in California. I grew up in the DC area. So I think my first MAGFest was like 6 or 7. So I was there when it was not as mature as it is today and not as huge as it is today. And for me, I'm going to sound like an old crotchety man, but I miss a little bit of that, old school when it was a little less polished, it was a little less, a little more janky. And the thing about it that was really special is you go into a room and like most of, if not all the people in that room. Like Super can be huge. It can be very intimidating and there's a lot of people. And one of the things I just love about MAGWest is it's got that old school mag energy where everybody knows everybody. I mean, and you meet new friends, but it's a hang, it's a party, and people are there to just have a really, really good time.
Yeah, my answer was going to reflect some of what Joe and Gene said of like, I've never been to an old MAGFest, but I know a lot of the same people who did attend those, and it is a really fun time to just hang out with like everybody. You can like it's not as big an event, so you can pretty close to do everything that it actually offers. Yeah. At least for now, when it's like at this size.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then I really like how it's been staffed actually, because the people staffing it have like the experience of doing a lot of events. They have the MAGFest experience, and they're bringing that to West. And they kind of, like what Gene said, like they have that ability to kind of like try different things and to kind of like set a new direction that isn't like already set in stone. Mm-hmm. So that's fun. And I really like being a part of that for sure. I mean, as much as I can be as a performer. And it's a smaller event, and that just has its own fun at least for now. And I mean, who knows what the future will bring, but like, it's been really good because they're bringing that polish at a smaller scale for sure.
Yes, 1,000% agree with those who have shared their experiences. I would say what really sticks out to me is like the amount of collaboration you get into without realizing that you can get into so much collaboration. Whether if you are just planning for it, or maybe somebody will just be like, hey, can you just jump on my panel? I need another person. I think you best represent. Or even if you're like, scratching the surface of like your interest of EGM, like people just want you involved. And that is something that I think is like really beautiful that MAGWest offers. So just a couple things about the location. We probably hinted at it. It is on the West Coast. It's located right now in San Jose, California, even though we've had our earlier events in Santa Clara, but it usually resides in like the South Bay of California. And for those on the East Coast, California is very long. So nowhere close to LA, nowhere close to Sacramento. We're like kind of dead set in the center.
Yeah, it's Northern California. It's the South Bay area of Northern California, specifically.
Yeah.
Yes, we are an hour south of San Francisco, so you can, just get that in your mind. We're not San Francisco; it's a different city.
Never call us San Francisco. We don't like it.
I'm from San Jose. I don't tell people I'm from San Francisco when they ask. I just sort of leave them thinking.
Absolutely. And then where we lie in the year is we're very far away from Super, so Super starts first, and then Mag Labs, then Mag Stock, and then MAGWest. So we kind of like, close out the year with a good bang. And then some of the core values, like they're not very explicit on our website, but I will say like what we all kind of shared in general was just the amount of like involvement you can get into, right? Just making sure that you can experience all that you can experience. There's not too much FOMO because it's small enough where you can capture as much as you can. And then just have like a really good relaxed time. Like nothing's really hyper. Like I know today I've been kind of in between panels, performance, rehearsal all day today. I don't get that same vibe at MAGWest. I can kind of be a little bit more leisurely. And so, just the amount of collaboration, the small scale, the scrappiness that was described. And so it's just really great because everyone in the end of the day just want to have a good experience. Some history. Who wants to talk about some history?
Well, before did you mention the MAGQuests? So there were actually two events. Oh yeah, that's it says before my time. So Ben can probably talk about that. I think I only attended the second one, but we had two planning events, 2015 and 2016, where it's like, we promised this is really happening. And I'm like, okay, when? And it turned out that 2017 was the first year. So I got involved just sort of on a TBD basis in 2016, waiting for 2017 to happen. And then when I joined, I had a very small role. I think I was like booking maybe a handful of artists. I think it might have been a chiptune artist or two, a couple of maybe one other act. So I really started as like a very small role in the org.
when you're starting an event on the opposite side of the country where you don't have a volunteer pool and you're asking the strangers and the kindness of the good and the goodness of their hearts to dedicate essentially what is like a second full-time job to build an event, you kind of have to plant seeds for a while. And so MAGQuest 1 and MAGQuest 2 were definitely that. I also joined, I only went to MAGQuest 2, and by then I was like, it was like a mixer. It was like, hey, anyone who's interested in coming to volunteer for this event that we promise is coming, come on out and we'll show you what we do, and then you can talk to some department heads from the East Coast, and maybe you'll get involved. It's such a wishy-washy, arbitrary, like weird thing to do, but it resonated because that kind of scene really wasn't there in the way that they were promising, or in the way that Super definitely exists. So anyway, that's all to say that with enough planning, 2017 MAGWest finally happened, and it was fun. And we had a nice Sonic theme, and everything was shiny and new, and we had a great hotel space that was mixed with the convention center. And then we got hit with the bill.
Yeah.
And California is expensive, and there were a lot of things that weren't planned for. Am I allowed to curse?
No, you're the
Great.
head honcho.
We have a budget line item called fuck ups, and that was born because of the first West. Just because, as it turns out, if you stay past midnight or 2 a.m. in a convention center space because of union rules, you have to pay for security hourly for every hour that you're in that space. They didn't tell us that in advance. That's really expensive. Then there were things like we needed to use a specific brand of gaff tape to tape cables down. We didn't know that either. They sold it to us at an upcharge because why not? There are just so many things. It was a mess. So that brought us down to earth real quick in terms of how pie in the sky we should be dreaming. We got to be a little bit more realistic about financial planning when it comes to that. 2018, that theme was intended to be dating sims, but that didn't really get off the ground. So it was just a lot of weird like heart items mixed with West stuff, and it was really weird. We moved on to 2019, which is when I came into a leadership position. I was there for 2017 and 2018 as well. But for 2019, we chose Animal Crossing, because we knew that the next Animal Crossing was coming out soon. And that we moved to a new venue, where this venue gave us all the costs up front, and we did very well. And then 2020 happened.
And COVID.
Can I talk about 2020?
You can talk about 2020.
So 2020, funny enough, was my first year. And I laugh because we were very hopeful about having an in-person event, and there was just a lot of uncertainty going on during that time where we were like, are we still in person? And like half the year we were still like trying to plan this in person because, of the stay-at-home orders and, all the things that were like, it's not going to last that long. Is the world overreacting? And then really we're like, no, this is a real like life-threatening thing that's going on. And so we finally, I think West was also the experimental child of actually having a virtual event that turned out to be pretty solid. Like there was a lot of artists who were just willing to be like, we're willing to put in some content just to keep this really good thing alive. And it was just really awesome to see that there was a lot of people who were willing to contribute. We had
Props
a lot.
to Robbie.
Huh?
Robbie did some stuff.
Yeah,
Super
Robbie
sold
did
that.
some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robbie did an incredible like documentary with Piano Phil. I don't know his name. Piano Paul.
Palo Alto Ball.
Yes, yes.
Alto Paul's piano. Yes.
I will just say really quick, we weren't the first con to do an online event, but there were not, just the timing, because we were in August, September, we were on the early side, so we didn't have a lot of examples. That was we kind of had to learn how to do that almost pretty much from scratch. Maybe not the streaming part of it, but how do you program a single stream music event that's typically, in 20 different rooms across an entire hotel? I think we did a pretty good job, and I think we improved on it for 2021, but it was, I thought, a fairly successful transition for a just difficult time for everybody, and keeping it, having something rather than just canceling it outright, I think was a good call, because the psyche, everybody was stressed out, it was a good to continue that and, pretend that we were all still fine, and life was going to continue, and it has. We're here today, so,
It's a good thing to point out that broadcast ops here at Super MAGFest actually had its origins over at MAGWest for the digital years. Broadcast ops didn't exist as a department, and now we have Channel 51 here broadcasting live from the Gaylord, and that's a very impressive thing. So super props to Broadcast Ops and Matt Stodel for just spearheading the entirety of 2020. He built the entire tech chain for us, and worked with us and worked with all the talent, and we spent countless hours kind of dialing all that in, which all became experience for Broadcast Ops here at Super. So that's definitely a situation in which something at Super came from West.
Absolutely. Did you guys attend any or participate in the virtual events?
I did a bunch of the fundraiser stuff, but
I didn't know.
Oh, okay. I was probing for a story.
oh no, I got so many stories, V. But let's move on.
We'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there.
No shortage of stories.
I guess to tie a bow on this slide here is that we did end up coming back in person for 2022. It felt safer, not to say it was fully safest, but it felt doable to come back at the DoubleTree, which is the hotel that we used to conduct the event. And while the attendance was not the attendance that we're hoping for, because folks were still being very cautious, we were able to dust off a lot of rust and also have a little bit of a couple of clumsy moments to get ourselves back together. And then I feel like 2023 and 2024 is where we kind of felt like, okay, we're back in our groove. I will say that I gotten some comments from people who were like, this is your hallmark year, this is the year that you guys did it, and that is something that feels really good, because we really tried to not resuscitate, but we did a lot of CPR during the virtual events to make sure that the current events that we have right now are living.
Yeah, and I will just also say that I think 2024, this last year, our Persona theme was the first year that we really, really tied the programming in directly with the music with the theme. We had some people doing Animal Crossing stuff the previous year, and there was some tournaments and things, but Persona was pervasive throughout the event. It really felt like we just tied it together in such a beautiful way. And, it's not that we hadn't done those things in previous years, but 2024 to me feels like, the best we've done so far.
Right. So let's talk about festival updates, or highlights, not updates.
Oh,
these are all the things.
Taco Bravo!
Oh, Taco Bravo.
Anybody who knows about Taco Bravo. It's a very unofficial, I would say, saga of MAGWest, but that's one of the things that makes it special.
Very unofficial. We cannot, for liability purposes, we cannot say that we endorse it. So,
but we appreciate it, and we love it, and
the jury's out.
It's a panel. It's just a panel.
Yeah. Attendees love it. Attendees, for better or for worse, love it.
Robbie, can you tell us a little bit about the Bravo Bus? Is that okay?
Robbie, come up here for a sec. I think...
Yeah.
So, let me just pause for a second and say...
Squabs.
Before he tells the story, I was just going to say, buried sort of secretly in all of these slides is Robbie's influence on MAGWest. He performs in Super Soul Bros, which is great, but so much of the spirit of MAGWest just comes from this guy's endless optimism and positivity and just energy. And Bravo Bus, which we cannot officially endorse, is your baby.
I'm trying to remember. I think I did a panel that explained what the history was of the Bravo Bus, and but that was years ago, and it kind of escapes me still. But I think it ever since I met various people at MAGFest Super back in 2015, 2016, I think that was my band's first 2 years here. I got to know a lot of the volunteers and the staff, and I was like, if you're ever in the Bay Area, if you're ever in San Jose, my hometown, where MAGWest is located currently, we got to go to Taco Bravo. And it's a place that my dad was a musician, and it's one of those late night taco spots that is open until 3 in the, or it's pretty much 24 hours, but 3 a.m. now is when they close, and it's where all the musicians kind of go, they funnel into this dive, this taco stand, and you really are, this is a dangerous thing for you to give me the mic talking about Taco Bravo.
I'll show you off in
I'm
just a
gonna try
second.
to rein
the Taco
all
Bravo
of
song.
Like I did a whole 1 hour, 2 hour panel about this. So anyway, I guess the Spark Notes is, it's a place that my dad took me to when I was 8 years old at 2 in the morning because he had just gotten done with a gig, and I was too scared to stay at my friend's house for a sleepover, so we did a pre-sleepover where you get picked up before you go to bed or whatever. Anyway,
And you go to Taco Bravo.
and he took me to Taco Bravo, and I was like,
That's really nice.
that was a formative experience. At 8 years old, I was like, this is cool. I'm eating the biggest, greasiest bean burrito with mild red sauce and onions at 2 in the morning with my dad. And this is like awesome. So that synapse was formed. And then I tell that, I just want to relive that and give other people that experience. So I shared that with as many people as I could at Super. I was like, I don't know if you'll ever make it over. Well, then MAGWest happens. And then I'm like, okay, maybe we should get everyone over to Taco Bravo. It's like a 15-minute drive. It never really happened. It was like everyone was busy, everyone was tasked with things, and then they were flying out, and there was just no time to actually get people over there. Then I thought, okay, how do I make an event or some unofficial, how do I make people go there? And so I rent a 44-passenger party bus and disperse the price of that to people in the form of tickets, and then in the middle of the night at like midnight we get 44 people loading up on the bus. We go to Taco Bravo. It's a 2-hour excursion. We come back, and then we pick up another 44 people, and we go back and we do the whole thing. So I'm trying to spread the gospel of Bravo.
I want to say 2 quick things about that. It brings such an amazing chaos, elemental energy. It's our Colossus scream. It's one of our foundational elements.
That's
But
solid, yeah.
Also, we do have a lot of really great Mexican food in San Jose. Please don't let
Much better.
Taco
much more,
Bravo
much more
represent
authentic.
us.
Like when you go to
Vix is
Taco
down the
Bravo,
street.
in the window, it used to be a Taco Bell, but then it got converted into Taco Bravo. In the window, it says from 2006, from City Search, like food review, it says voted best nearly authentic Mexican food of 2005 or 2006. That's the best way you could put it. Yeah, it's an experience.
Perfect.
And I'm so glad that people have enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's one of the things where people will ask, like, "Hey, so like, not me. Like, I can't sell that to you. That's not that. You got to talk to some underground folks. Find your dealer. Find your Taco Bravo dealer.
Get some orange sauce.
Get some orange sauce." All right. Aside from Taco Bravo, there are other festival highlights that I have briefly named on here. Like we have our pool parties, which are pretty iconic to us. Like we have a whole lineup of pool acts that will, entertain the masses of those who are just chilling on the pool. Which I think, yeah, go ahead.
I do want to give like a special note to the pool parties because again, I think, and I don't want to like derail or get too philosophical, but there's something really, really special about the pool party that just does not exist anywhere else in the world in any other event. Because when you go to MAGFest and you see a show that's on the main stage, as an audience member, you're standing there. Like maybe you're dancing, maybe you're doing something, like or you're rocking out, or if you're in the Belvedere, maybe you're eating food. But like to actually be able to like swim and chill with your friends and have a beer and hang out in the sunshine and listen to like music that's being played extremely well, but also like it's more loose. It's not like a super rehearsed thing. It's a jam. It's just, there's nothing else like it in terms of everybody in that space feeling awesome.
Yes.
And it's just it's something that I look forward to every year, like incredibly, because they're just, the vibes of it are just outstanding. They're like off the charts in terms of just everybody there is having a good time. You know, at the end we all jump in the pool sometimes, and you know, it's really fun. So I always, like, if you only come to MAGWest for one thing, I always recommend the pool party.
110%. Thank you so much, Joe, for chiming in on that.
Yeah.
It's very true. Like, you can just have a drink, or if you're somebody who doesn't drink alcohol, you can have a virgin drink, whatever is to your fancy. Or you can just dip your feet in the pool. Like, I know for the first year that I went to MAGWest before I was a volunteer attendee, like, I didn't have a suit or anything because I wasn't expecting it, but I just got on the corner of the pool, dipped my toes in, and I was like, wow, I'm still having a good time just listening to the concert. So it's just really, really special. One thing on this slide that I didn't put on here is, I'm going to highlight real quick because they are here, is VVGO. They have coordinated our community orchestra, which is a festival highlight. And the reason why that's so special is because it not only, people who come in and jam and are a little bit more shy to jamming, or people who bring their instrument, they're like, what do I do with my instrument? They make it a very open process for you to just come in if you're a hobbyist, if you're just playing for if you haven't picked up your horn in a minute, that they have a very inclusive way to bring in people to just play video game music and not feel super pressured to have to be super, super skilled. So not to discredit anybody who is very skilled, but all to say, that's something that I feel is very, very special and brings in a lot of people. Does anyone from VVGO want to emphasize on that at all? No pressure. You can talk about it later too. Justin.
Come on up. Come on up. Yeah. Here's our guest mic over here on the end. No, we got some room over here. Just take a seat.
You got to run to another panel soon that we're running.
Yeah, you can be quick.
Yeah, MAGWest is it's a very special place for us, and for me and Grace in particular. We're two of the executive directors of the Virtual Video Game Orchestra. We took over after Brandon Harnish.
Thanks
right here.
for leaving us, Brandon.
And there was the first VVGO show was 3 weeks after we joined, I feel like. So we were kind of thrown into the deep end, and it was our chance to really get close to the group, learn a little bit about MAGFest and make all these initial connections. And we learned a lot about what does and what doesn't work at these kind of conventions. And so the following year, we wanted to take the scale of that down to really focus on the musicians and building that community around it. We do small ensembles in VVGO, and so we have this big backlog of all these arrangements, and we were like, what if instead of trying to arrange and part prep all this other stuff, we take what we have with permission from the arrangers, get musicians and kind of fill spots based off of, or choose songs based off the spots that we're trying to fill. And it kind of leads to this very low pressure for our musicians, but also having a good variety of music, instrumentation, and then we always do a couple of big ones to get everyone involved. So it's really grown into this lovely little family, and I think it's very special.
Yeah. I love the community aspect of it, having all of these people who, some of them, people make a lot of connections at West too through these kinds of groups. They'll find themselves sitting next to a woodwind player that they followed on YouTube, and you're just some normal person who's just there to have a good time, and you get to perform with people like Jay, who's no.
Oh, speaking
Yes,
to the
yes,
microphone more.
Yeah,
Grace,
you want to say yes.
Jay is indeed a person.
I mean, Concertmaster Jay. Also, V was able to perform bass trombone solo with us for the first time, I think, in a while, that you were able to dust that off, and I thought that was a really special moment.
Thank you.
There's just so many opportunities and connections to be made, and I think that's a very, very special thing to be able to provide.
Yeah. No, thank you so much, Justin. Yeah. Thank you so much, Grace. Yeah, you guys have been killing it for the last couple of years with getting people together. So thank you so much. Because of the sake of time, I'm gonna not speed run, but I will go a little bit through some more of like the things to just kind of expect through the year. I'm not even going to say hope. We are expecting increased attendance because we've been doing pretty well. We've been kind of going through this like gradual growth. In 2024, we had about 1,700 check-ins, which is a pretty big deal altogether between those who bought badges, those who were guests, those who were performers, those who were volunteering. And so we have been kind of seeing the steady flow of like increased badges. So we expect that there's going to be more folks. We are looking to continue partnerships. One of the things that we do is to ramp up the event. Jean works very, very hard to do these promo events prior to the event, so then that way we get the word out and also share with the community how special we are. And so right now, we do have a couple of promo partnerships underway. So like right now we're collaborating with Under the Deca Tree from the Pacific Northwest, as well as Nerdcore Days, which is a Nerdcore adjacent event at South by Southwest. But Jean, is there anything else that you want to kind of chime in on that?
Yeah, so I know that we have BitGen out here on the East Coast, but one of the things that I wanted to do was not necessarily copy that exactly, but I wanted to carry that idea forward. Like, you know, we can have other VGM events under the umbrella of MAGFest, MAGWest, whatever you want to call it. You know, because if you miss the weekend, you know, it's like, oh, you know, plans change, whatever. I still want people to have opportunities to experience at least a taste of what we have. So we try to do these smaller events. We've done them at game shops. This one was at the flea market, which bit of an odd fit, but the people who were there really enjoyed the event. Where else have we done some of these?
Game Over Oakland.
Oh yeah, no, that was your event. Yeah. We just helped with some of the staffing, but we do try to support other local events as well. It's just, you know, it kind of seeds these VGM things and gives people these avenues to perform that isn't just the one weekend of the year. Because, you know, as awesome as that can be, it's 3 days. You know, like there's 51 other weekends, so we want to try to make it so that there is more VGM throughout the West Coast and the Bay Area in particular.
Yeah, 110%. I think last year you did some collaborations too that were just...
We did, yeah.
Yes, very fantastic. We did like Viva Calle and Mag Jams, which is not game jams, but jamming up. One of the other things too that I wanted to bring attention to is something that we're doing that's a little bit different than what MAGFest does, is that we actually have a fundraising campaign out there, which I forgot to put the QR code up, but I will make a social media post about it. The reality is with our event is basically we're borrowing from MAGFest's money. Basically, we're going to Dad and saying like, can you please sponsor us to have this event happen? And so at some point we want to be able to be sustainable ourselves, like to fund ourselves. But in order to do that, we're trying some traditional campaigning methods to kind of help ease the costs of us doing the event. And so we have been using the platform Give Butter to do that. We've done some matching fundraising last year. We've gotten some people who are local to sponsor our event, which has been incredible, because that's kind of the donation base that we were actually looking for. We're not trying to be super cheesy with a bunch of big old corporations, but we are trying to like be more grassroots as well as, more friendly to the locale in getting them involved. Ben or Jean, do you guys want to chime in on that?
On the sponsorships and partnerships, I don't think I have too much more to add. I think we have some plans in the works about how do we engage with local organizations. Again, that grassroots. We want people that are inspired by the event. I mean, obviously, attendees can kick in some money, and that's great. But there are so many local organizations that can jive with our mission about whether it's indie game devs. We have some really great organizations. San Jose State has a great indie game dev program. We've worked with San Jose State on a few concerts. There's lots of local music organizations, and a lot of other cons that we work with. It's just we got to spread the love. There's no real benefit to us, just being in a total silo. So we really want people to, we want to plant our flag in the ground and say, we're not just here to put on a gaming event. We're here to be part of the community.
100%. Yeah, let's keep going. This might be a little redundant, but we were supposed to talk about how are we different from MAGFest. I feel like we basically captured it. We're very micro, we're very scrappy. I'm not going to silence the rest of the panel here, but is there anything else that you guys want to add on to that?
Yeah, just one thing I forgot to kind of mention is that like the music programming is different. You're drawing from a different scene of musicians, and that makes it very interesting. Like I know a lot of us on the West Coast have been hungry for like a mag-like event for a long time, and MAGWest has definitely like filled that for me. Yeah, so if you like. And some of these people are going to be playing at MAGFest and stuff like that too. So it's some of the same like kind of like music lineage, but you're drawing from a completely different coast, and that by itself is very interesting.
Yeah, you get different talent. You even get just different. I mean, for me, logistically, I can't bring a Barry sax to Super. But I brought it to MAGWest and I played main stage on it. It was effing dope, and I was really glad to be able to do it.
Yeah,
so,
that was sick. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are unique logistical benefits to being somewhere where people can just bring all of their crap. So again,
That's the same for here too.
It's
like,
same. Yeah, it's just there. Sometimes I mean, like I talk to like people like our friends in Latin America. Like they're not going to come out because it's just not local. So you get talent. You get local talent, and there's a million amazing musicians in the Bay Area. They're not going to go to necessarily Super. They're not going to fly somewhere, but they'll come out to MAGWest, and that just, it brings a different vibe to it. You get to see stuff that you wouldn't otherwise see.
I'm going to bring up a special, very special thing to my heart, which is the Jam Space, which I run and have run since 2017. One of the unique challenges that we have is because we're smaller, we have to be a lot more clever and scrappy with smaller spaces. I don't know how many stages there are exactly. There's like 6 here. You can pack a lot of music into MAGFest. We can't. We have the new variety stage that V launched, I think 2 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. In 2022, which gets a lot of crosstalk because our space is very limited, but we have a lot more acoustic acts there. The Jam Space started off as I literally just got a floor with nothing in it. It was just like an empty room, and we just kind of tried stuff. The first year we had a demo scene competition. If anybody even knows what that is, just people on laptops like writing music and then like playing it back. It wouldn't like, not even like a performance. It was just like, but what that kind of seeded for me was like, what is this thing? Because we don't have time and room to only have main stage. So we got to find other kind of musical expression for people. So it ended up becoming this really weird hybrid space, which is like, I would say stuff that you wouldn't typically see on main stage. We might have 1 or 2 like honest to goodness performances, but it's a lot of participatory stuff, a nerdcore cypher. We had an anime rock jam last year. It was like, 2 hours of people just singing like bad drunk songs basically to anime theme songs. It was great. We also have, Joe's done some jams there before, and Jay's performed in some of those as well. It's not always just here's a bunch of instruments jam. Sometimes there's a little bit more structure on it, but sometimes we just get weird with it. There's a Danny DeVito shrine. He would approve for sure. It's just such a cool space. And I'm sure as we get bigger and there are more rooms for more music, I want to try to preserve that. Like, what can we do that's not just another performance venue? Like that's a smaller stage, which is cool, but I like that experimentation zone that we've created.
I don't think I've ever had to take care of a guest issue in a bathing suit until I've done MAGWest. Whoa. Which is very different than here because I don't think I can run around in my bathing suit here. I mean, I could if I'm brave, but I'm not going to do that.
Brave the cold.
Right, yeah, it's cold, it's dry. But all to say, yeah, there's a very MAGFest has almost the same thing, but like I can be very casual and very candid with folks, which is like really nice, especially from like a higher leadership position. And so, yeah, and then understanding that like if I'm like dripping wet because of the pool, like, and I'm working with a guest, they get it because they're like, oh, you were trying to have a good time and now you're trying to resolve my crisis. That's fine. I'm like, yeah, this is all fine all around. This is okay. But other than that, yeah, like honestly, like, because the location, like, I'm not from the East Coast. Gina's also not from the East Coast. Jay, you're not from the East Coast?
No, I'm West Coast, yeah.
Yeah. We can also scam our friends into coming to MAGWest, where we can't exactly scam our friends to coming to MAGFest.
That's right, yeah.
So if I make them come, it's like, you saw my chaos. I want you guys to thrive in it, please. What are other people saying about MAGWest, which I will do a quick speed round of just reading these off. MAGWest does an incredible job with things like pool parties that help build community, experience joy. I don't know if they do that at Super, but it's a very special way to connect with people you might not otherwise cross paths with. MAGWest is MAGBest. We got pool parties. We got unofficial Bravo bus. I didn't say this. We got orange sauce, good weather, good vibes, and good friends. Indie devs, LAN parties, VTubers. Oh my! Which VTubers was an experimental thing that we did, which we are probably anticipating and continuing. We'll see how it goes. But like I said, lots of room to just see what we can do. The vintage tiny mag feel, in a lot of ways, it almost feels more communal than Super, which has gotten so big over time. A couple of things come to mind. This is Jean's quote. Our small size and unusual hotel layout lets us be a little bit more nimble and experimental with lineups and programming. Almost since the beginning, we've had a large presence of rap and hip hop. The event feels like a nice reflection of cultural diversity in the Bay Area. I do like that we play with more contemporary yearly themes too, like Carrie said earlier, which Carrie commented on this on another post. Carrie Wood, who's awesome, said earlier that we really go full tilt on that with programming, something that we hope to do more in the future. The jam space has evolved a lot over the years, and it's really become a cool community space for participatory concerts. Those are the main ones I can think of. MAGWest Choir. Woo!
Yeah,
Nice.
we did that. So I saw that there's a choir here, and I don't want to take credit and assume that they were inspired by us, but I don't know how often we do like an actual honest to goodness community choir thing. But Michelle was inspired by Vivi Go, my wife, and she's like, why can't we do the same thing? Choir is a lot easier. You just come with your voices and you have sheet music. It's a lot less overhead. We had first time event, I don't know, 50 people show up at 10 o'clock in the morning to watch this thing, in addition to like the 25 or 30 performers that were a part of it. First year, no prior, like she doesn't have a lot of connections in the VGM community. People just wanted this to happen, so it happened, and it was really great. I have a recording of it somewhere.
Yeah. I loved how there was a lot of San Jose State choir folks who came through, which is very reminiscent for me because a lot of I get a lot of crossing of the paths. So I saw some people I went to school with, which was really cool. More quotes. Pool party is pretty unique. I think it's the number of rhythm games. Japanese cabs isn't necessarily rare in California, but it is something rare on the East Coast audience. I always want to see games out West I'd never be able to find at home. And then squabs is what someone sent to me. Yes, this is very real.
Yes.
Vivi Go was also something that was submitted. And then we have this moment here with both Lacey and Carrie.
That was a great.
And then we also have Pepsi Man, which, who is that guy?
I don't think we're allowed to say.
Pepsi Man. It was
Pepsi Man.
Pepsi Man. Oh, sorry. I said Pepsi guy. Sorry. I gave you guys good value. So story time. We have about 12 minutes of this. Anybody want to tell any stories?
I'll tell one
stories.
real quick one.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago, during the Ultra Combo Jam, Brandon here hands me a kazoo, and it is now part of my repertoire. This past year, Brandon runs a How to Solve a Rubik's Cube panel after Taco Bravo, after the Bravo bus. We were completely delirious, drunk, and trying to learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube. And you know what? I learned how to solve one because of that panel. Yes, and someday, teaser, I'm hoping to do both at once, play kazoo and solve a Rubik's Cube at the same time on stage. So if that ever happens, it'll be because of Brandon's involvement. Yeah, we'll make it happen.
I got a quick one. This one still comes up from time to time. So this is very early on in MAGWest. I want to say it was 2018. I had seen a show in 2017 with Super Soul Bros backing up Mega Ran at a now no longer there music venue. I'm forgetting what it's called, AFK. And I'm like, this should be a whole set. So I basically talked to both artists independently to make sure that they were cool with the idea, then connected them, and we had one of the most legendary like fusion concerts. And I don't know that it had been done a whole ton at MAGFest. I wasn't like super familiar with the programming, but ever since then, it has become common practice at MAGWest to put together these super groups, and just like, why not? We're all already here. It doesn't just have to be band after band after band. We can kind of recombine. And people still talk to me about that Super Soul Bros Mega Ran set, and
That was a dope set.
no promises. Really love to see something like that happen again, but we'll see.
Okay.
I'll share a quick story, and then I really want to give this to the audience. MAGWest was the first time I've ever did a band and big band combination or collaboration concert, which I'm in this band called 7th Street Big Band. We're just like your standard funk, jazz, adjacent, close to what Snarky Puppy does. But we've been in the Bay Area for over 10 years, and I've always wanted to do like a big band set with Super Soul Bros, and we got it to happen. Like, it was an idea that I have like talked about with like the trombone player of Super Soul Bros, Christian Manzana, as well as their saxophone player, Alex Popoff. And then after years and years of talking about it, I'm like, hey guys, I think this is our opportunity to try this and do something a little bit different. So it was just really special that I was able to do that with those guys, because I've gone to college with them. I feel like they're my brothers, and like I've grown up with them. And so it was just really cool to kind of bring something that we've talked about for years and years and years to life. And then the next year after that, we did something the same thing with Character Select, which is spearheaded by Trevor Stoll. And he's also part of 7th Street Band and got the inspiration of the 7th Street show with Super Soul Bros to do it for Character Select. So it was just a really cool moment for me to just like live out a dream that I've always wanted to have. All right, all sentimental things aside, anyone? Yes.
Come on up.
Story.
Yeah, please.
I will shelve your question after the story segment. Is that okay? Thank you.
Let's actually hear from Jay. I haven't heard from you in a bit, and I know you've got some
I
great
was actually
stories.
thinking about this the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
No, Jay. I'm just joking, please.
No, the problem is that like anytime an event like MAGWest or MAGFest happens, my brain is just completely empty. It's just, where's the next music act? What's the next thing I'm doing? And then like I'm going to that. So my brain is actually like pretty empty. I was trying really hard to come up with something.
Dog food.
Yeah. So I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. Jake from Kirby's Dreyband and I were like, let's play a secret set. It would be really funny to just play this at a random time and not tell anyone about it. So we planned that out. We like, he's out in San Diego, so we didn't have a chance to really even like run through anything. But we were just playing it for fun. And we just, it was after Kirby Dreyband show that year that we found what we called Mag Underground, because it was like it was like right under the banister area stairs.
Yeah.
And referencing the Mag Underground that used to be here. And so we played that set to just a bunch of our friends and stuff, and it was really fun to do that.
I remember I was lying on the ground.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah, I was like near passed out, but I was like, this is amazing. Yeah.
And you brought it back stronger. Like the next year that you brought it back, it was one of my favorite sets of the whole weekend, for sure.
Yeah, thank you, Gene. Yeah, like, and then so that was just with me and Jake, and then we brought our friend Chris, who's also here somewhere in MAGFest, as a pianist, and then now we're a real band, which is kind of actually weird.
Yeah.
Hey.
With merch.
Yes.
More stories from the
One, I think we'll do 2 stories total, and then we'll go into questions, and then the reveal of our theme this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone with a story? Ben?
Good to know.
J. Fry? Josiah?
Oh, Ben, you want to tell a story?
Come on, Ben.
Oh,
Come on up. Come on up.
I do want to call back to, I believe it was 2022 pool party, 2023 pool party. When we got audience participation, we don't sell out that hotel. So there are a lot of other random guests staying at that hotel. And so at the pool party, we get some wild, some wild just hotel guests really vibing with the music. And that's just like those images of that woman dancing while holding a drink, because we had drinks served, part partying with us was really interesting. She didn't know what she was dancing to, but she was vibing, and it was great.
We gifted her a shirt.
We did.
Was that the year that George Sanger played?
Oh yeah, no, that's a whole
that was-
yeah. I'll just spare everybody. Go on to the MAGFest videos and look up the George Sanger. What was it? I think it was Robbie Benson and Friends is what it was called.
Yeah.
It's this pool party with like an old legend of video game music. He was around in the 80s and 90s and still continues. But it was like you had to be there. It was just, I don't know. Joe, you performed in it. You'll have to talk about it. But
Well, I already did a story, but that was going to be my other story.
Yeah.
It was, it was awesome. Playing Putt-Putt Goes to the Zoo and, just jamming out on it with like shredding and all that kind of stuff. It was you had to be there, but it was very special. He, for those who don't know, he's like dressed like a rhinestone cowboy. Like he does the whole performance thing. It's a really special. Oh, nice. I'm
thank
going to
you,
reach out to him
George.
after
Yeah.
this is over.
he's so great.
He was super supportive. He was.
Gee, I see you're on the audience. Do you have a story?
Gee, come on.
No pressure. Cosplay Wrestling Federation. Do you want to talk about the smoke? We can just quickly say we had a mishap with a smoke machine that went off in the hotel and just stopped all elevators and all that stuff. It was a mess, and so now we're just like anti-smoke machine at the event. Yes.
Cake is not allowed near the soundboard. No further questions.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're in Q&A now.
We could, so the short version is my room was directly above the balcony, or where there were people like actively engaged in the pool party or stops, whatever have you, right? They're the same. And there wasn't the stairs there aren't easy to get through, especially when you're on the third floor to get to the second floor. So we developed a pulley system using an ice bucket where we could lower down drinks if needed. And so it's pretty ingenious, and we're in tech on the West Coast, so yeah.
Students in STEM.
Right. It's good. It's a learning process, but it works out great.
I gotta run.
Yeah, we gotta.
How about this? If you have any questions, because we're actually getting close to out of time, and I'm so sorry because I kept hinting like questions. I will answer your question about getting more talent, right? So we do. Yes, I can actually answer a little bit of that. So, a lot of the times we've been asking, a lot of guest talent as well as, artists with the good graces of our heart, just being like, hey, we don't have a budget like Super, but also at the same time, like, could you come through to our event if we're able to offer these types of accommodations? And some folks are like, heck no. And then other folks are like, yeah, we'll come through because we love MAG. And I think that's something that's really special about some of the people that we bring in, that they totally understand our mission. They totally understand like the things that we bring to the table, as well as when it comes to experiences. And it doesn't feel as transactional. And so now that we're trying to grow, I have actually created this form where if people are interested in coming through, they can fill out the form. I would say, have a lot of integrity when it comes to our survey results too. So if people are starting to request certain folks, we will try to vet and see what we can do.
Yeah. If I can add to that just a little bit, and I want to be very plain about this. Budgets are a real constraint. I mean, MAGWest, if we get 3 of the biggest name voice actors, that maybe, I don't want to make any assumptions. It may be fairly easy for MAGFest to pay for it. That may wipe out half of our guest budget. So we have to be very judicious about who we bring over. And it's not necessarily, sometimes it's just, we don't have as much negotiating power with our West budget. So sometimes that determines who comes through. That, as we get bigger and as more attendees come, That makes it a little easier for us to justify the bigger guests. So it's a bit of a chicken egg problem.
Yeah. All right. Reveal time. Reveal time. All right. I know it's a little lengthy. Sorry. Sorry.
What a great video.
So that's our theme this year. So it's 7. There's been a lot of interesting interpretations of what dates are real and what dates are fake for MAGWest's timeline. But we are going to do a Final Fantasy theme, which should be pretty fun to do on a musical standpoint. So all to say, in closing, first of all, thank you all so much for being here and supporting, MAGWest, being interested, being curious, wanting to know a little bit more. If you want to get involved, you could always email us through the contact page of the MAGWest site, which is magwest.org. If you're ever wanting to do volunteering or get staffing roles or whatever, I would definitely start, email the appropriate people. And I feel a little bit pressured here because Stops is here right now staring at me. But all to say, just make sure you ask very mindful questions on how to get involved. If you're looking to attend or perform, again, there's applications that will come out in adjacent to the applications that Super usually releases as well. So just pay attention to what we're doing on our social media, and that's how you can stay in touch with us. But other than that, I'm V, this is Jean, and over here is Jay. Joe is also on the panel, and we have Ben. Oh, back up on the panel, I see.
I'm here.
And thank you so much for being here. Yeah.